So today I am going to can up some milk, and this is something that I have not done for a while, and I'm not terribly fond of drinking canned milk, home canned milk, but I think it's awesome for baking, so I would like to have some of that in stock. And considering what's going on these days, it's probably good idea to have some milk in stock. Okay, and because my milk is cold, I've set up my pressure canner with 3 quarts of cold water, and I've not started to heat that up yet. So, pretty simple process. Just pour the milk into each jar, and I'm going to leave an inch headspace. On each one. So because of the amount of milk I have in stock right now, I may just do 8 to 9 jars. We'll see how many I get. Okay, well, just got another bag. Let's keep pouring. And I am using whole milk. That's all I ever really buy is whole milk. Now I did buy some powdered milk, and I think it's probably a good idea to keep some powdered milk in stock as well. Although admittedly that's still also a new one for me. Okay. Pretty easy process, actually. Okay, I also have my vinegar to clean the rims, but this is one of these times I'm going to suggest that if you don't want to clean the rims with vinegar, that you don't do so, but you do wipe the rims really well. And the reason for that is perhaps that you just don't want to get any vinegar in the milk and have it curdle. The possibility of it curdling is small, but you still don't want it to occur. Okay, and this is pretty easy to make sure that you have clean rims. It's just a liquid, and yes, there is fat in milk, but it's pretty much all dissolved. Okay, so just going to make sure all my rims are all dry, and I have done so. And yes, I'm going to use my vinegar to pour into my canner rather than for cleaning here. Now I also have my lids already in hot water, and just going to place one on each one. Once again, a very simple process to can milk. And I only had enough to make 8 jars. There was a little bit left over, but not enough for another jar. Okay, the other thing is that I do reuse, I wash and reuse my rims. I have a whole stash of brand new rings that have never been used, but because these are reusable, I tend to try to use the same ones over and over and over again until I feel that they are no longer until I can no longer clean them to my own satisfaction. And they may look cruddy on the outside, but as long as they're fairly clean on the inside, I'm okay with that. No point in having them all get old and used. Okay, finger tight, which to me is a little snugger than it probably might be to most people. And realign that. Okay, so the water in the canner is cold. My vinegar is in the canner because I don't really want cloudy jars. And yes, they can be cleaned, but they're still a pain to clean. Okay, so I might have been able to fit one more in this layer, but this is all good. So now I can transfer this to a burner that I've got hot already. And it's pretty much the same process as usual, other than the processing time. So we're going to put the lid on. We're going to let this come up to temperature and vent for 10 minutes. So once it is boiled, is heated up, we'll make sure that it is vented for 10 minutes before we go any further. And meanwhile, I'm making more sourdough bread, another small loaf, and I am at the process of folding for the third time. So we're going to do at least 10 folds. That's 3, that's 4. So stretch and fold. 5, 6, and my hands are getting sticky. So just wet them again. 7. Now I'm finding that it's a little harder to stretch, so I'm going to pull it out and do it by hand. So that's 8, 9, 10, and 11, and 12. Okay, so I'm just going to form this into a ball and put it back in my bowl to rest for another hour. Okay? Okay, covered it up with cellophane, and I'm just going to put this in my little toaster oven just to get it out of the way. Okay, my timer has gone off, and my canner has been venting for a full 10 minutes, and now I'm going to put on a 10-pound weight. I'm going to bring this up to a 10-pound pressure because of my altitude, but if you're in a different altitude, you should adjust for it. And I do have a gauge, and I also have this little jiggler, I guess, that's what it's called, that will let me know when I've reached 10 pounds. But I'm not going to walk away because I don't want to process this for any length of time at all. I just want to get it up to the 10 pounds pressure, and then I want to turn it off. Now, there are multiple ways of canning milk, and one of them is to bring it up to pressure and can it for 15 minutes. And the other one is what I'm doing today, which is just bring it up to the desired pressure based on your altitude, and then turn it off and let everything cool down. So those are the two primary ways that most people do it, and I prefer not to overly process, and I think the 15 minutes you get more of a caramelized effect with the milk, and I'm not really looking for that. So as you can see, the gauge is moving up there quite steadily, and it's only going to take a few minutes to get up to our 10-11 pounds, and once we're there, we just turn everything off. Now, if you're new to canning and you've never canned milk in the past, you should be aware that this is not, canning milk is not approved by the powers that be. People have been doing it for a long time, but you're still doing it at your own risk. We do not can milk based on my recommendation, because I'm not recommending anyone does anything that is not approved, but it's just one of those, bear in mind that you can milk at your own risk. I mean, there are people that can butter, and they're happy with it. I'm not. I don't like canned butter. I've tried it once. Now, I have heard of one lady who actually pressure cans butter for distinct length of time, rather than just melting it and putting it in jars. So that may work better, but the way I've done it in the past, I didn't like it. So, and here we can see that my jiggler is starting to have a little bit of motion, but we're not quite up to 10 pounds pressure yet, but we're getting very close. And there it is. Like the gauge may not be as precise, but it's close enough that I actually look at both of them. And the jiggler is just beginning to move a little bit. So, and what that does is it lets out air and moisture to keep it at a particular pressure. So, according to the jiggler, we are at 10 pounds pressure. According to my gauge, we're not quite there yet. But I'm going to just give it another minute to have the gauge also read 10 pounds, and then I'm quite happy to turn it off. I know my gauge might be off a pound or two, but not that drastically, so I'm good with that. Okay, now my gauge is reading pretty close to 10 pounds pressure. My jiggler is jiggling away, and I think I'm quite comfortable turning it off. I could give it another minute or two, but I'm quite happy to turn this off now and just let everything come down to zero pressure. Well, we just had quite the thunderstorm here. Actually, it was an extremely hot day. You would think it was August instead of May. And with weather like that, as the cooler weather rolls in, it creates thunderstorms, which is all good. Love the rain, love the thunderstorms. I have no issue with any of it. But with that, I did lose power for about 3 hours. It's just come back on. And fortunately for me, it waited until I had completed my pressure canning of my milk, thank goodness, because it would have been a bit of a nightmare had I lost power in between. But I would have been able to have this video up earlier if it hadn't dropped, but as it is, well, it'll go up tomorrow morning. So, this is Tony from Her Homestead Skills. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.